Alright, so in this video I am going to be covering the topic of AS level math, which is APGP, and as always, as I did in the last couple of topics, I have attached all my notes from one of my online classes along with this file, and I'll make sure that I give you guys the link to this file in the description box also, so that you guys can also benefit from it. These are all my detailed notes of AP along with some worked examples and some questions from the book, and it pretty much all the concepts are covered in these notes. Now, what I didn't do this time was, because this is one of those topics that's like all over the place, okay, I couldn't single out the frequently tested concepts. So what I didn't do this time was what I did with binomial and what I did with, if you saw the add math video in which I covered permutation and combination. So I didn't do that this time because, like I said, this topic is, because it's more of it's one of those topics that has a lot of applications also. So in fact, in some questions we will understand how this topic has a lot more real life applications, which is why you can't single out the concepts, but it basically revolves around all the formulas. And one thing that I should mention is that all the formulas of APGP will be given to you in the formula sheet that you get, which is called MF9. But having said that, it's always a good idea to have them memorized so that you don't have to refer to it again and again. But in case you forget, or in case you're in case there's an element of doubt, you can always refer to it and check your answer to make sure that it's correct. Anyway, so without wasting any more time, I'm just going to get straight to the past paper questions. As I mentioned earlier, that I have attached all my notes of this particular topic. So the question that I'm going to start off with is from Major 2017, paper 1, variant 1, and it's question number 4 of this particular paper. So it says an arithmetic progression has a first term of 32, a fifth term of 22, and a last term of minus 28. Find the sum of all the terms in the progression. So one thing that I like to do is that first I like to read the question all at once, and then I'm going to read it again and see what I can sort of write down with the help of, I'm going to break it down and sort of extract all the important information from it. So when it says first term of 32, so that instantly tells me that A is equals to 32. I should probably start from the first line so that I don't end up running out of space, okay? And then it says fifth term of 22. So fifth term basically means that the formula for calculating nth term is a plus n minus 1 times d. So this is the formula for calculating the nth term. So it's talking about the fifth term, so that means 22 is equals to a plus 5 minus 1, so that's 4. So a plus 4d. And the last term, now we don't know what the last term is, so we'll just leave that as it is. Find the sum of all the terms in the progression. Okay, so let's see what we have and let's see what we're given, and we'll see how we can sort of make use of it. So since it's saying the last term is minus 28 and we know the first term and we don't know the common difference, so what we should do is that we should first find out what the common difference is. Okay, so how can I do that? The way to find out the common difference would be, since I already have the value of a, I'm going to take this value and I'm going to plug it in this equation. So when I do that, I'm looking at 22 is equals to 32 plus 4d. So let's work this out. 22 minus 32 is minus 10. So minus 10 equals to 4d. Let's work out the value of d. So all I got to do is divide this by 4. So d is equals to minus 5 upon 2, or 2.5. Since it's a terminating decimal, you can write it as 2.5 also, nothing to worry about. Okay, so now that I know what the common difference is, what I can figure out now is what the last term is. Okay, so we don't know what the last term, what value it is, but we know that it's 28. Okay, so there's a certain term, let's just call it Tn, which is equal to minus 28 of a progression that has first term 32 and common difference minus 5 upon 2. So a plus n minus 1 times d is equals to minus 28. A is 32, so I'm just going to replace that into n minus 1 times d, which is minus 5 upon 2, equals to minus 28. Now it's just a matter of minus 1 times minus 5 is 5. Okay, Siri got activated for some reason. Anyway, so now it's just a matter of cross multiplying and solving it. So we're looking at n minus 1 times minus 5 upon 2 is equals to, so I'm going to take 32 over to the other side. So we're looking at minus 28 minus 32. So that's equal to minus 60. Now we have the minus sign on both sides, so we'll just cancel them out. So now we're looking at 5n minus 5 is equals to 2 times 60 is 120. So we're looking at 5n is equals to 125, which means we're looking at 125 divided by 5, which is 25. Now this is still not the end of the question. We still have to find out the sum of all the terms in the progression. Now to calculate the sum, there are two formulas. One is n upon 2 into a plus L, and I think this is the formula that I'm going to use. But anyway, the other formula is n upon 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 times t. Now over here I can use pretty much whatever formula that I want, because I have the first term, I have the last term, I have the number of terms, and I also have the common difference. So if I want to use the first formula, I have all the ingredients I need to use it. If I want to use the second formula, I have all the ingredients I need in order to use that formula. So if I use the first formula, so n, as we know, so basically we're finding out the sum of 25 terms, okay, because that's the total number of terms. So we're looking at 25 upon 2 into a, which we just found out to be 32, plus the last term, which as the question said is equals to minus 28. So now we just got to work this out. 32 plus minus 28, so we're looking at 4 times 25 divided by 2, so we're looking at 50. So the sum of the first 25 terms is equals to 50, and that is the correct answer. Then we move on to part B, which says each year a school allocates a sum of money for the library. The amount of allocated each year increases by 2.5%. So whenever the question says that the amount increases by a certain percentage every year, and that percentage is basically of the previous year, then the question will definitely be of geometric progression, because that's how geometric progression sort of progresses, okay? Every term is an increase, or perhaps it's either increased by a certain ratio or decreased by a certain ratio. So it says in 2005 the school allocated $2,000. Find the total amount allocated in the years 2005 to 2014 inclusive. Okay, so this is something that I really want you to pay attention to. So when it says that 2005 the school allocated $2,000, so that's a no-brainer, that A is equals to 2,000. Okay, now when the question says that the amount allocated each year increases by 2.5%, so that means if in the first year we have 2,000, so that means in the next year, one way to do this would be to work out 2.5% of 2,000, okay, and then add it to the original amount, so you're looking at 2050, okay. The other way to work out would be to simply increase 2,000 by 2.5%, and the way to do that would be to take 2,000 and to multiply it by 102.5 divided by 100, because 100 plus 2.5 is 102.5, divide by 100 because it's percentage, and you get 2050. Now the reason why we're doing this is so that we can work out what the common ratio is. So common ratio is basically equal to 102.5 upon 100. Alright, so that means we're looking at 1.025 as our common ratio. Okay, now here comes the more important part. It says find the total amount, so that means you have to find the sum allocated in the years 2005 to 2014. Okay, so 2005 to 2014. So if you want to count the number of years, suppose this was 2005 to 2010. So we're looking at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's a total of 6 years. So 5 to 10 is 6 years. So that means the way to do that would be to take the final term and from it subtract the first term, and then you add 1 to it. Whenever you're counting inclusively, that's what you always do. So if you're looking at 2005 to 2014, if you want to find out the number of years, you take 2014. From it, you subtract 2005, and then you add 1 to it, so you're looking at 10 years. So that means we need to find out the sum of the 10 terms. And the formula to calculate the sum for a geometric progression is A into R to the power n minus 1 over R minus 1, okay? So A, as we know, is 2000. Common ratio, as I pointed out, is 1.025 raised to the power of 10, because we're talking about 10 years, minus 1 over 1.025 minus 1, so we can do it directly, and this is going to be 0.025. So let's work this out. So I'm going to plug this in as it is in the calculator, just so that I don't end up making any error. So 1.025 to the power of 10 minus 1 divided by 1.025 minus 1, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so we're looking at 22,406, and let's see. Okay, so it's always best to give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So I am going to write the actual value. So the sum of 10 terms, actually, sum of 10 years is equal to 22,406.76, and then once we round it off, correct to 3 significant figures, we're talking about 22,400, and this is your final and the correct answer. So this was one question. Now let's move to the next question. Alright, so here's another question, and this is question number 3. This is from 2018, the March attempt, and question number 3. So this is more like, if you remember at the beginning, I said that This topic has a lot of practical applications also, so this question is one of those instances where you see this topic being applied in real life also. So it says, on a certain day, the height of a young bamboo plant was found to be 40 centimeters. After exactly 1 day, its height was found to be 41.2. Two different models are used to predict its height exactly 60 days after it was first measured. So if I were you, I would highlight or underline the word after. Why? I'll explain that in a minute. Model A assumes that the daily amount of growth continues to be constant at the amount found for the first day. Model B assumes that the daily percentage rate of growth continues to be constant at the percentage rate of growth found for the first day. Okay, so basically, in Model A, in simple terms, Model A is arithmetic progression, Model B is geometric progression. Why? Because in Model A assumes that the amount of growth is constant, okay? And Model B assumes that basically Model A assumes the growth to be constant as it was found the first day, okay? So if it grew 1 centimeter the first day, according to Model A, that's how much it's going to grow every other day. Model B says that if it grew, let's say like 10%, then that's how much it's going to grow the next day also, okay? So it says, using Model A, find the predicted height in centimeter of the bamboo plant exactly 60 days after it was first measured, okay? So on the first day, its height was 40 centimeters. So I would say A is equals to 40 centimeters, okay? After exactly 1 day, its height was found to be 41.2 centimeters. So like I said, Model A assuming this to be an arithmetic progression, so that means we're more interested in finding out what the common difference is. So if I want the common difference, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take 41.2 and from it I'm going to subtract 40. So when I do that, I end up with 1.2 centimeter. Okay, now what exactly do we have to do? We have to find the height after 60 days. So that means we're technically counting after the first day, okay? After the first day has passed, okay? That's from that point onwards we're starting the counter. So that means we're not looking for the 60th term, we're basically looking for the 61st term, okay? After it was first measured, so that means we're looking for 60 days after the first day. So technically we're looking for its height on the 61st day, okay? So that's the reason why I underlined the word after at the very beginning. So like I said, we're basically looking for the 61st term, which is going to be equal to A plus 61 minus 1 times D. So we know what A is equals to, right? So A is equals to 40 plus 60 times 1.2. So let's work this out. And let's see what do we get. So we're looking at 1.2 times 60, 72 plus 40. So we're looking at 112 centimeter, and that is the correct answer. Now we move to part 2, which says, using Model B, find the predicted height in centimeter of the bamboo plant exactly 60 days after it was first measured. So again, we're looking for the 61st term, but this time we are more interested in finding out what the common ratio is, because that's what Model B is assuming. So the height on the first day was not 60, in fact it was 40. The next day it was 41.2. So using this, I can figure out what the common ratio is. So all I got to do is, I got to do 41.2 over 40. So R is equals to, let's see, 41.2 divided by 40. So we're looking at 1.03. So if R is equals to 1.03, I need to find out the 61st term. So the way to do that would be A R raised to the power n minus 1, which is going to be 61 minus 1. So the 61st term is going to be equal to 40 times 1.03 to the power of 60. So let's work this out. 1.03 raised to the power 60 into 40. So we're looking at 235.66, which if we round off correct to 3 significant figures. Let me just write it down first. 235.66, which means this is equal to 236 centimeter, correct to 3 significant figures. So there you go, that was part 2, and that's another question done. Now the next question that I would like to solve for you guys is from, let me see, October-November 2018, paper 1, variant 2, and this is question number 5. Okay. Now this is more like an algebra question, which is why I've picked this. So it says the first 3 terms of an arithmetic progression are 4, x and y respectively. The first 3 terms of a geometric progression are x, y and 18 respectively. It is given that both x and y are positive, so that means it's possible that we may find the value of x or y, which may turn out to be negative or positive, and then we have to pick the positive value. Okay, that's possible. I don't know that, but we're about to find out. Then it says find the value of x and the value of y. Okay, so let's talk about the arithmetic progression that the question is talking about. So as far as the arithmetic progression is concerned, so we have 4 comma x comma y. And then let's talk about the geometric progression. When the geometric progression is x comma y comma 18. Okay, let's see. So we have to come up with two equations, and we're going to use that to find the value of x and y. So I can make one equation using the fact that 4x and y are in an arithmetic progression, and I can use the common difference. So I can say that x minus 4, the difference between the first two terms, is equal to y minus x, which is the difference in the next two terms. Okay, so I can make an equation, a nice equation from here. So x plus x is going to be 2x, x plus x because if I shift minus x over to the other side, minus y is equals to 4. Okay, so that's one equation. I'm going to park this over here, and I'm going to come to the GP that we have, and using the GP I can say that the ratio between the first two terms is equal to the ratio of the next two terms. Okay, so t2 upon t1 is equals to t3 upon t2. Now if I cross multiply, so I'm looking at y square equals to 18x. So now that I have two equations, I'm going to use these two equations and find out the value of x and then the value of y eventually. So what can I do? Let's make y the subject. That's what I would suggest. 2x minus 4 is equals to y. Let's write this nicely. Y is equals to 2x minus 4. And according to the question, y square is equals to 18x. So that means 2x minus 4. The whole thing square equals to 18x. And please, I can't emphasize enough that when you expand this, do not forget to use the identity. Okay. So 2x whole squared, I'm going to start from here now so that I don't miss out on a lot of space, is 4x squared times minus 2 times 2 times 4. So that's 16x plus 16 is equals to 18x. So let's shift everything over to the left hand side. So we're looking at 4x squared minus 16 minus 18, which is going to be minus 34x plus 16 equals to 0. So let's divide both sides by 2, or just take 2 common. So we're looking at 2x squared minus 17x plus 8 equals to 0. So factors of 16 that give you minus 17 are going to be minus 16 and minus 1. So minus 16x minus 1x plus 8 equals to 0. So we're looking at 2x times x minus 8 and then minus 1 times x minus 8, which is equal to 0. So that means that we're looking at, let's see, we're looking at 2x minus 1 over 2. So 2x minus 1 times x minus 8 equal to 0. So that means x is equals to 1 over 2, or x is equals to 8. Okay. Now if you remember, the question said that both x and y are positive. So although both the values of x are positive, now we need to see what is the value of y going to be. So if you remember, we made y the subject and we concluded that y is equals to 2x minus 4. So which means that y is equals to 2 times half minus 4, which means y is equals to 1 minus 4, so that's minus 3. Now this is the value that you get when x is equals to half. Okay, so that means this is not the correct set of values that we're looking for. So I'm going to cross this out, and that definitely means that the correct value of x is equals to 8. And let's see what do we get, what y is equals to when x is 8. So 2 times 8 minus 4, so y is equals to 2 times 8, so that's 16. 16 minus 4, so y is equals to 12. So these are the correct set of values that we were looking for. X is equals to 8 and y is equals to 27. Then it says find the fourth term of each progression. So that shouldn't be too difficult, considering that we have the value of x and y. So x is 8 and y is 12. So for if we write down the arithmetic progression, so our arithmetic progression was 4 x and y. So that means now it's 4, 8 and 12. So the fourth term of the arithmetic progression is going to be 16. Now let's write down the geometric progression. So the values of the geometric progression were, let's see, they were x, y and 18. X, y, 18. Now remember, we have the value of x and y. So x turned out to be 8, so let's write that down. Y turned out to be 12, so let's write that down, and then 18. So if you're looking for the fourth term, so you need to find out what the common ratio is, or you can simply do it like this, that the ratio of these two terms, which is 12 upon 18, should be equal to the ratio of the next two terms, which is basically equal to, let's just call it T4 upon 18. So now let's cross multiply. So we're looking at 12 times 18 divided by 8. So that means the fourth term is equals to 27. And there you go. That's the final and the correct answer. Okay. Now let's try and solve a couple more questions. And okay, so here's another question that I'm going to solve. And this will probably be, in fact, this will probably be the last question, and I'll make a follow-up video of this. where I can solve the remaining questions. However, in the meantime, I would suggest you guys to download this document and practice on your own and go through the notes also. And also the fact that I have covered this topic in detail, it's on my YouTube channel, so you guys can watch that. That's more of like a step-by-step approach where I explain every single concept in detail, and this is sort of like a mixture where we're just doing past paper questions. Alright, so here's question number 4. It says, a runner who is training for a long distance race plans to run increasing distances each day for 21 days. This question, by the way, is from October-November 2019, paper 1, variant 1, question number 4. Yeah. So she will run X kilometers on day 1, and on each subsequent day she will increase the distance by 10% of the previous day's distance. On day 21 she will run 20 kilometers. Okay, so if she's running X kilometers on day 1, so that means the first term is equals to X. Now if she's increasing her distance by 10%, so that instantly should tell you that we're looking at a common ratio, and the common ratio is going to be equal to 100 plus the percentage with which she's increasing divided by 100. So R is equals to 1.10. Yeah. And what exactly does the question say? On day 21 she will run 20 kilometers. So that means that the 21st term is basically equal to 20. Okay, so we have all the information written down. Now let's see what the question wants us to find. Find the distance she must run on day 1 in order to achieve this. Give your answer in kilometer correct to one decimal place. Okay, so we have the first, we don't have the first term, but we do have the 20th term, and we have the common ratio. So we can sort of put all this together and find out what we really want to. So the 21st term can be worked out. So let's write down the formula first. Nth term is equals to AR to the power n minus 1. So the 21st term is going to be equal to X into 1.10 to the power 21 minus 1, so that's 20. Now I'm going to replace T21 with the actual term, which is 20, X into 1.10 to the power of 20. Okay, so now I got to solve this, and before I solve this I need to make X the subject. So X is equals to 20 divided by 1.10 to the power of 20, and I'm going to evaluate this in my calculator. I mean, there's no other way to do it, but yeah, 1.10 to the power of 20. So we're looking at 2.97, which basically means that it is going to be equal to 3 kilo. 2.97, so let's write down 2.97. So that's going to be equal to 3.0 kilometers. Okay. And then let's see what it says. Find the total distance she runs over the 21 days. So that basically means we need to find out the sum of the 21 terms. So S21, in fact, let's just write down the formula first. So the sum of n terms is equal to A R raised to the power n minus 1 over R minus 1. So sum of the total distance that she runs over the 21 days is going to be equal to, now this time I will avoid using the rounded off value. Instead I will use the actual value, which was 2.97. So 2.972 into 1.10 to the power of 21 minus 1 over 1.10 minus 1. Now I should point out that when I'm actually plugging this in the calculator, so I'm going to make use of the answer key. So this is how I'm going to start. Okay, so I'm going to making use of the answer key, and then 1.10 to the power of 21 minus 1 divided by 1.10 minus 1. So we're looking at 190.2, so that's equal to 190.27, and if we give our answer correct to 3 significant figures, so that's equal to 190 kilometers. And that brings me to the end of this video, the end of the question, and also the end of the video. Now this is part 1. I will make another part where I think I'm going to solve some more questions similar to the previous one. And if you guys have any couple of questions that you guys, if you guys have any questions that you want me to solve, so you can always reach out to me on Instagram and drop me a message there. So anyway, I'll stop here. I'll see you guys in the next video. So until then, take care. Bye-bye.